When your brain tells you to hide, it's lying to you. Not completely. Hiding is smart. Hiding is ancient. Hiding is stitched into your survival wiring the same way it's stitched into every animal that ever lived long enough to pass its genes forward. But the lie is in the second part, the part where your brain says, and I know exactly where. Because that confident, instinctive image your nervous system defaults to, crouched in a corner, pressed into a closet, locked behind the solid door with the lights off, that image is built for comfort, not survival. And in a real scenario, those two things will get you killed in completely different ways. Your hiding instinct and the searching instinct of whoever's looking for you were built by the exact same evolutionary logic. You gravitate toward enclosed spaces because they feel protective. They gravitate toward enclosed spaces because that's where hidden people are. You are, without realizing it, running directly into the most predictable location available. And prediction is the one thing concealment cannot survive. Let's start with the mistake that kills more people than any other in a hiding scenario, because it's the one that feels most like the right answer. Survival instructors call it the corner trap, and it works like this. Something goes wrong. Civil disorder outside, an intruder in the building, a grid-down scenario where strangers are moving through your neighborhood with intent. Your brain immediately wants walls. 2 walls at your back, ideally. A tight space, something overhead, something on 3 sides. So you go to the corner of the room, the space behind the dresser wedged against the wall, the closet in the back bedroom, the bathroom with the lock turned. And in doing so, you have just made the single worst positional decision available to you. A corner is not a position. A corner is a cage. The moment you put yourself in one, you have surrendered every exit option you had. A hidden person has choices: move left, move back, slip into another space, relocate. A trapped person has prayers. And this is the central lie your brain tells you about concealment, that feeling protected and being protected are the same condition. They are not. A hiding spot that makes you feel calm is often systematically destroying the practical conditions that make survival real. You want to feel slightly wrong about your position. You want that low-grade discomfort that whispers, "This feels exposed." Because the spots that feel exposed to you are almost always the spots that are hardest to search efficiently, and efficient searching is exactly what you're trying to defeat. Think about how a search actually works, whether it's trained personnel clearing a building or a desperate person looking for something valuable. All searches follow the same cognitive pattern. Eyes go to the obvious first. They go to large objects, enclosed spaces, dark corners, places that look like they could hold a person. The searcher is running the same instinct algorithm you're running, which means if your instinct says there, their instinct says there too. What you need is a position that exits that algorithm entirely. And almost universally, those positions don't look like hiding spots at all. Here's the principle that sounds so wrong, most people reject it immediately. The best hiding spots are rarely enclosed. More often than not, they are open. A person pressed flat in knee-high grass is harder to locate than a person locked in a shed. A person lying motionless under a parked vehicle is harder to find than a person behind the closed door. A person sitting completely still in a cluttered room, positioned so that the natural line of sight from the doorway falls past them rather than on them, that person is harder to detect than someone in the next room with a bolt turned. Why? Because searching open space is cognitively exhausting in a way that searching enclosed spaces is not. When you open a door, you get one dramatic reveal: there or not there. When you're scanning an open field or a cluttered interior, your brain has to process thousands of visual data points simultaneously, and it does that by chunking, looking for human-shaped things, for movement, for anomaly. It does not look at everything. It cannot. Stillness plus the right position removes you from the anomaly category entirely. Picture this: 2 people hiding in the same open field during a night sweep. One is crouched behind a bush at the field's edge, his silhouette broken but his body upright, weight shifting slightly every few seconds because his knees hurt. The other is flat on his stomach 15 meters into the field, face down in the grass, arms at his sides, a fallen branch beside him, and a loose leaf scattered across his back by his own hand before he settled. The search team moves through. They check the tree line, the shed, the ditch. They walk within 6 feet of the second man. One of them nearly steps on his ankle. They keep moving. The first man is found in under 4 minutes. The second man is never found at all. Same field, same search, same threat. Completely different outcomes, because one person was behind something and the other was become indistinguishable from everything around him. That distinction is the second real principle. The goal is not to be behind something, the goal is to be invisible within something. Background integration, matching your shape, your profile, and your stillness to the terrain around you, is what separates a position that holds from one that gets blown in seconds. The human silhouette is one of the most pattern-recognized shapes in existence. Even partially obscured, even at 40 meters, even in low light, a trained eye finds it almost automatically. Your job is to not have a silhouette. Your job is to have a shape that matches the terrain, and that shape is almost always horizontal. Going to ground feels wrong. It feels naked and cold and counterintuitive, but it destroys your silhouette, reduces your thermal signature, lowers your sound profile, and makes you geometrically similar to the thousands of other irregular shapes on the ground around you. Now, thermal, because here's a line you'll hear in survival content and then watch get dropped without follow-through. Thermal imaging can find you through walls. That line deserves more than a passing mention. Handheld thermal imagers are available for under $300. Thermal-capable drones are in routine use by both law enforcement and increasingly non-state actors in serious conflict environments. And here's what that actually means for you. You open the closet door on their thermal screen, and there you are, a bright white human-shaped blob glowing against cool blue walls. Impossible to miss, even if they're just walking past the hallway. You are the only sustained heat source into space. You don't look like a hiding person, you look like a lantern. An enclosed hide that defeats visual search entirely gets compromised by thermal in under 30 seconds. This is not a futuristic concern. It is a present-tense practical reality, and it is one more reason why the tight, enclosed, safe-feeling position is often the most dangerous one available. Built environments have their own hiding logic, and the architecture was designed for normal use, which means it's almost perfectly aligned with efficient searching. The rooms that feel like good hides, the locked bedroom, the bathroom, the closet, are the rooms experienced searchers reach first. Anyone trained in building clearance knows the sequence. Go to the lockable, person-sized spaces and work through them systematically. If you're in one of those spaces, you're in a queue. You'll be found when they get to you. The spaces that actually work inside a building are the ones that trigger no instinct. A utility corridor is good because it's uncomfortable and people move through it rather than search it. A crawl space that isn't obviously a crawl space is good because it requires deliberate effort to access, and cursory searches don't include deliberate effort for every possible gap. And the rooftop, underrated, almost always overlooked, and geometrically brilliant. Searches default inward and downward. Up is an afterthought. You're on the roof, lying flat behind the HVAC unit, using the low parapet wall as cover. They clear every room below you, call the building clean, never once look up. You're already crossing to the adjacent rooftop by the time they finish the last floor. The building became your cover, not your trap, because you understood that searches have a direction and you moved perpendicular to it. But the most overlooked principle in interior concealment is this. The best hiding spot in a building is often a position inside a room that has already been searched. Once a space is cleared, researching it is cognitively costly. The brain files it under done and keeps moving forward. A person who can slip laterally into checked territory and hold completely still has dramatically lower odds of discovery than someone retreating deeper into unsearched space. Here's what that looks like in practice. They're clearing the building bottom to top. They've gone through the living room, the kitchen, the kid's bedroom on the left side of the hall. The moment they move into the next room, you slip back into the kid's bedroom, the one they just cleared, climb onto the top bunk and pull the blanket over you like you're just laundry someone left behind. You control your breathing. You do not move. They finish the floor, call it clear, move upward. You are now in the safest room in the building because it is the room they have already decided to stop looking in. Sound discipline in a building is arguably more important than visual concealment in most interior scenarios, and it fails in ways nobody anticipates. The sounds that betray hidden people are almost never the obvious ones. Not talking, not coughing. They are the sound of fabric against drywall, the subtle compression and release of clothing against a hard surface when someone is trembling and trying not to show it. They are the phone screen activating face down in a pocket. Even that faint glow under a door gap is visible in a dark hallway. They are your breathing in a tight enclosed space, which amplifies in ways you don't predict until you're already sitting in one with someone listening on the other side. Controlling your breathing under threat is a skill, not an instinct. The technique that works, used in military sniper training and hostage survival protocols, is a 4-count cycle. Slow inhale through the nose, hold for 4 counts, exhale through the mouth with lips barely parted to diffuse the air. It lowers your heart rate measurably, prevents the involuntary muscle tremors that come with oxygen deprivation, and makes your breathing inaudible beyond 2 feet. You cannot learn this in the moment. In the moment, your reasoning brain is offline and your brainstem is running panic breathing. The practice beforehand is what rewrites that automatic response, so when the adrenaline hits, the trained pattern overrides the instinct. There's an entire category of hiding that survival content almost universally ignores, and it may be the most effective form available in an urban scenario: concealment through social camouflage, behavioral invisibility. The person hiding most effectively in a chaotic urban environment is often not hidden at all. They are visible, moving slowly, dressed in unremarkable clothing, performing a task that fits the ambient context of the moment. Picture this: a neighborhood in civil disorder, third night running, scattered looting, police cordons on the main roads. 2 people need to get from one end of the block to the other. The first moves quickly, head down, looking startled, changing direction twice when he sees people ahead. The second is carrying a large black garbage bag, walking at a maintenance worker's pace, not making eye contact, not changing direction for anything. The second person walks the entire block and is mentally filed by every person who sees him under irrelevant. The first is noticed, followed, and stopped before he reaches the corner. The brain, when scanning a social environment for targets or threats, reads behavior more than appearance. Movement that is purposeful and contextually appropriate registers as background. Movement that is hesitant, startled, or out of place triggers attention immediately. Social concealment requires no terrain, no cover, no position analysis. It requires only the ability to regulate your visible fear response and project belonging, moving like you have a reason to be exactly where you are. That is harder than it sounds when every nerve in your body is screaming to run. And running, in nearly every scenario we've discussed, is the worst available decision. Running destroys your sound discipline, your background integration, your behavioral camouflage, and your position simultaneously. It tells every search system, human, mechanical, thermal, exactly where you are and exactly where you're going. And it is almost always what happens when a bad hiding spot stops feeling safe, which is the compounding cost of making a bad choice in the first place. A good position holds. A bad position panics you into movement at the worst possible moment in the worst possible direction, with nothing between you and whatever you're running from. Which leads to the last principle, the one that multiplies everything else: distance. Almost everyone tries to hide too close to the threat. Same building, same block, same field. At close range, every principle covered here has near zero margin for error. Background integration, sound discipline, behavioral camouflage, defeating the search pattern. These work at distance, 30 meters, 50, 100. At 5 meters, you are relying entirely on the searcher's inattention, and inattention is not a plan. When you have time to move, you use that time to create distance first and concealment second. You do not hide in the building you're already in if you can reach a different building. Distance multiplies the effectiveness of every technique available to you, and most people sacrifice it because leaving feels more dangerous than staying, even when staying is the trap. Everything comes down to one shift in thinking. The worst hiding spots in the world are not the dark ones, not the uncomfortable ones, not the exposed ones. The worst hiding spots are the ones that feel like hiding spots. The corner that feels protective, the closet that feels solid, the locked door that feels like a barrier. Your instincts were calibrated for a world where hiding meant avoiding embarrassment or winning a children's game in someone's backyard. In real concealment, feeling safe is a warning sign. The moment the position feels right, ask yourself whether it also feels right to whoever is looking for you. Because if it does, you haven't found a hiding spot. You've found a waiting room with your name already on it. Learn the geometry of sightlines. Learn to hear your own breathing before someone else does. Understand what a search pattern actually prioritizes and put yourself outside of it. Know that concealment is a complete system: distance, position, sound, behavior, thermal signature, and it collapses entirely if any single element fails. Practice the stillness. Practice the breathing. Practice the discomfort of positions that feel wrong but hold. Because in the moment it actually matters, you will not rise to the occasion. You will fall to the level of your preparation. The people who get found are the ones who trusted their instincts in the moment instead of their training beforehand. Don't be them.